one instance, I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I was sleeping under my boat cover, and it's like day before the tournament, and we're fishing the Chickamauga. Anyway, so I'm sleeping in my boat, and it's like 2:00 in the morning, and I hear something like scratching, on the cover, and I'm like kind of like halfway awake, and then finally I came to, and I realized there was something trying to get into the boat, and I flew out of bed, and I threw the cover off, and there's this raccoon, like it's on the ground now, and it's pissed off. It was on the boat, but it obviously jumped onto the ground, and it's pissed, and it's running back and forth. Right, like just growling at me, just pissed off that I was in its, in its zone, its area. Like, I don't know, his boat. Yeah, it was obviously his boat, Yeah. And so, and I'm like, like I said, 2:00 in the morning, and I'm like, I didn't have anything to like throw at it because this thing was pissed at me, like it wanted to attack me, right?
Pick up the flipping stick.
Yeah.
And,
well, all my rod lockers all my rods were in the rod locker because I was, like I said, sleeping on the front deck. But anyway, so I hop into the back of my truck and. Let me rewind a little bit. And I grabbed my pillow and I threw my pillow at it, and it grabbed my pillow and drug it underneath my truck. I'm like, that was dumb.
You're like, now I don't have a pillow. Okay,
like,
cool.
Right. So I hopped in the back of my truck and I went through my ice chest and I grabbed a water bottle and I threw it at it, and the raccoon ran underneath the truck, and I'm sitting there waiting for it to come back out, and it like disappeared. It was like a ghost, just gone. And I'm like, where the heck did this thing go? And I look off in the distance, and I can see a raccoon running off. I'm like, that must have been him.
With your pillow
yeah.
still?
Yeah. With the pillow? No. I was scared to get out of the truck because I thought it was still underneath my truck. So, but that was kind of cool. What else? Anything cool that I did? I guess you've seen alligators in Florida. Catching one. I caught one.
You
on
caught
a frog.
one?
Yeah, I saw
nice.
it. I threw it over there and he ate it.
Big one?
No, it was, I don't know, 2-footer.
Oh,
a little
okay.
guy.
So nothing too crazy.
But you see some.
Yeah.
With what?
Like catching an
alligator. I don't think it's legal. I'm from California. It's just a giant lizard, Like
you gotta catch it, dude.
I grabbed it by the back and then I took a selfie with it. I let it go, But there's alligators everywhere there.
Yeah.
But Florida was pretty cool. Where else?
God, that weather sucks in Florida, though.
Oh,
that's like at least when we go for ICAST, it's
humid.
Middle of summer,
Horrible.
100 plus degrees outside, and it's
Horrible.
as humid as it could get. Mm-hmm. And if there's one place I never want to visit again, at least in summer or like probably anywhere past April, it's going to be Florida. Yeah. I have no desire to ever go there again.
They should come back to
Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah, I'd be down. ICAST. Come back to Vegas. Yeah. I guarantee all the casinos would be stoked. They'd probably pay you more than whatever Florida's paying you. So,
and get some of the West Coast guys out. And,
get us on the scene. So that would be cool.
Pretty cool. Another pretty crazy experience was, like the fluctuation of weather. Like you were saying, I was in Oklahoma fishing Grand Lake, and it was dumping rain. But as soon as the rain hit the ground, it would like freeze. It was scary. Like it was like sliding all over the road. Scary stuff. And I usually, it was a whole season I was sleeping in my truck, and I think that was the only time I got like a hotel because it was so cold. It was not worth sleeping in the boat. Jeez. But pretty cool experience going back east. I really learned a lot going back there. But starting off, like fishing, I guess in the West Coast, like just tournament fishing, like starting off, I fished Future Pro for a long time. Until, I made a decent amount of money, and Vince is like, you're too good for us. Like, you're kicking everyone's butt, you gotta move on, and, at that point I'm like, I don't know what to fish, what do I fish now? Like everything's so expensive, everything, I think I was, 20, 19 or 20 at the time, and I'm like, what do I fish now? Everything, and so I fished that, the Federation. The Federation is pretty reasonable, price point. I think all in it's like $120, and I think you fish like, it's been a couple years now. I think it's like 4 or 5 events to qualify for, the semifinal or the state championship, and then the semifinals, and then you have to qualify through the semifinals to nationals, and then you got to win nationals to fish the tour. But
and you did all that. So.
Yeah. I did
no
all
big
that.
deal.
Yeah, no big deal.
But
Future Pro stuff, I mean, that's, for starting off, like if you guys are just, I know we were kind of talking about this earlier in some our other videos, but, starting off, like I think your best stuff is to, fish the Future Pro stuff. Even if you don't want to say Future Pro, you don't have a partner like like I think Elk Grove Bass Club, Folsom Bass Club. Did you fish Folsom Bass Club?
Yeah, so I used to fish Folsom Bass Club a tiny bit. They were great. I mean, they would always let me fish, but I just at that time I was kind of getting into the high school fishing as well. So I was starting a club at Vista. So I was really more focused on those events. So I didn't have as much time to fish with the Folsom Bass team, but that was a great avenue. I mean, if I was any older, if I wasn't in high school and able to do the high school fishing, I would have went just the local club route to start. I think that's your cheapest way. And the cool thing about most of those clubs too is a lot of those guys aren't so competitive to the point where they don't want to teach you anything.
Right.
Because you'll notice that once you get into the higher level stuff, like if you're fishing the Wild West Pro-Ams and you're relatively new to it, I will say if you're going to fish the boater side and you're over, 25, 30 years old, I doubt a whole lot of those guys are going to want to help you out with anything because they're just not going to trust you. So, which is the fisherman's nature. But I will say, if you are a younger angler and you're going into the pro-ams, especially fishing on the coast side, a lot of people will be really friendly to you and really hook you up. So yeah, because kind of the way that I got started with tournament fishing, and I think if I had to do it over again, I would do it really similar. Was I was in high school, so I started a high school fishing club. Of course, you don't got to start your own if you want to do it. There's plenty to join all throughout California. So I'd run that route, fish those events. Those are awesome because you get to fish in a team. You fish against somebody who's your similar age, so there's not a whole lot of pressure to it. You're not going to fish against Ken Ma or you or Ish Monroe or whoever when you're out at one of those events. You're just going to be fishing against your peers. And the cool thing is you have a boat captain, and some of those they allow your boat captain to help you fish, or not help you fish, but help you give you tips, give you ideas on what to do.
So is that like a random draw like on who you're going to get for? It's kind of like the pro-ams, correct?
No. It's so everything in the high school fishing, at least that I did, was all team based. So you pick your partner.
Okay.
And then on top of that, you pretty much have to bring your own boater.
Gotcha.
So of course, if you're somebody who doesn't have access to a boat and you don't know someone who has a boat, a lot of those clubs will do everything in their power to get you into a boat. They'll find somebody who can take you out for the day. So if you're intimidated because you don't have a boat, you don't know anybody with a boat, just go talk to one of those clubs and they should be able to get you hooked up. So I fished those, and those were a super great place for me to learn because, like I said, it's not a whole lot of pressure, and you're fishing against people who are generally kind of like your equal skill level. Of course, there's great kids that fish high school, but there's also a lot of kids who have never been fishing before and they're just doing it for fun. So that's a good way to start. And then the other best way, I mean, if you're maybe a little bit older or if you just don't want to do the high school fishing stuff if you're in high school, which I don't know why you wouldn't want to do it. They're fun, so do that. But if you wanted to add something to your plate, fish a pro-am out of the back of the boat. Whether it's a shared weight event, I know New Gen's got the shared weight, or if you want to fish for your own 5 fish, you want to go over to Wild West, or even if you want to kind of have a entry-level pro-am event, you can hop into one of those federation tournaments. I've never fished one of those, so I don't know too much about them.
They're great.
But yeah, and then there's the Bass Nation, which is the same deal. They offer the back of the boat for a much cheaper price than what a Wild West event would cost you. But I think the cool thing about those is you're basically getting a free guide trip, or not a free guide trip. You'll pay I'll go with Wild West because I know them well. You pay $400 for your entry fee as a co, and you are guaranteed 2 days on the water with, some of the best anglers in California. So, I mean, you could draw Ken Ma one day, and then you could draw Greg Gutierrez the next day or whoever. And, I guarantee if you were booking a guide trip with one of those guys, I know that I don't think either of them guide, but I'm sure if they had rates, they'd be $600 to $700 a day.
They would be.
So, and in this instance, you get to see them in a tournament setting. So you get to see how their brain works, what goes through their head, and just how they kind of approach a day of tournament fishing, which is way more valuable than, in my opinion, than whatever I would win back when I fished those co-angler events, because I just try to soak up the info.
Yeah, you get to see how they break it down. Really see how like you said, how their mind works.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. Like you said, that Wild West is like kind of out of your budget. Like that the Bass Nation, the Federation's great. I think what I remember, it's the same price point for a co-angler as a boater. On the, I guess when I fished it was FLW, but now it's MLF. But I know the FLW, it was when you did the Federation stuff, the co-angler had the rights to the boat half the day. And I think a lot of boaters were kind of scared of that, and that's kind of why they didn't fish the Federation. And I never had a co-angler want to take the boat away from me, because they have the right to do that. But because I've always treated my co-anglers with respect and try to give them water to fish and kind of give them pointers. I treat everyone like I like to. I want everyone to treat me like I would treat them. I don't know. I just try to keep it. I try to treat everyone fairly, and try to put people on fish as well, So I want them to have a good time, just like I'm having a good time. We're out there to have fun, That's the whole point of these things, Some of it's pretty serious. You obviously want to win, but at the end of the day, you're out there to have fun, So I want the co-angler to catch fish too. So they're there to win as well, the co-angler side. So if they kick my butt out of the back of the boat, more power to them. Great, that's great for them.
It hurts a little bit.
It does hurt a little bit. It does hurt a little bit. But they're having a good time. So, and then they'll always have that memory like, oh, I had Austin, and I kicked his butt out of the back of the boat. They'd always have that, to kind of talk about to their friends and whatnot. But no, back to the clubs. Now, is that like I've never fished any of the club stuff. Is that a random draw for the co-angler as well, or how does that work?
So I think it depends on what club you are in. So I can really only speak for Folsom Bass Team, and of course, like I said, this has been years since I fished an event, so they may have totally changed it, and I may not even be remembering it right. But I believe back when I did the few events that I did were they were random draws. So they'd have all their co-anglers put their names in a hat, sort of thing, and they'd kind of just draw you out randomly. And I think that's probably a really good way for the clubs to do it, because then you don't get your like little power couple of dudes that are really good and always want to fish with their buddy who's also really good. So it kind of splits everybody up and, gets you to see some fresh new fishing techniques. That's one thing that I've always said. When I used to co-angle, I didn't so much as care who I got, because I knew, I'd watch the front of the guy or the guy in the front of the boat for the most part. I mean, of course, I want to catch fish. I want to win out of the back of the boat. But I think my real value came from watching the person in the front of the boat. And, I mean, I was really lucky. I always had great pros that always treated me super nice. But I will say, I watched some guys make some terrible decisions on the water on how to fish things or, what to do.
They think you're a girl because you have long hair or what?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, by the way, when are you going to cut that thing?
It's staying, dude. That's where all the good luck is stored. That's where, I think if it left, I could like kiss the top 10s goodbye, all of it, never making another one.
You'll be lighter. You'll be making moves a lot faster.
Dude, I know.
One day I might come behind you with a buzzer and take some scissors. You never know.
Dude, I get that so much in every tournament. I know Kent Brown, if he's watching, he's probably laughing. He tells me to cut my hair every time I see him. Every single time.
I think I might have too.
Yeah, it's, I just, it's a term of endearment now. That means I guess people must like me a little bit if they're, maybe. Or maybe not. Whatever. But, gosh, where were we? We were talking about
tournaments and the.
I was talking about watching guys out of the back of the boat. So I've watched some guys make some just flat out bad decisions out of the back of the boat, and I will say those memories have stuck with me just as much as watching the guys who make great decisions, because I've seen guys where they were doing really good day one and maybe their stuff just didn't go completely their way that first or that second morning, and just all hell breaks loose and they lose everything. They just spin out of control. And when I've been in tournament settings, I've always looked back on that moment. Maybe I had morning fish going and I knew that was my bite, but maybe I didn't get them in the first hour. And, that kind of panic sets in because, if you're paying, a couple $1,000 or something for these weekends and you got a boat payment and you've got rods and reels you want to buy and all that stuff, it gets expensive really fast. So there's that pressure. And it's just important to maintain a very level head in these events. I think that was one of the things. I used to watch all the old Bassmaster videos, and they used to talk about Kevin Van Dam on why he was so good. And like 90% of the guys were like, he's technically, like we're all pretty much on the same page. Like we can all cast the same, we can all, throw a rip bait the same, but his mental aspect is what separates him. And I think that's really what separates pretty much everybody. you know, if you can go out on a day and you know you're going to catch them, if you have that level of confidence,
you're going to catch them.
Then you're going to catch them.
Yeah.
And if you go out there and you're like, you know, practice sucked, you know, the lake's dumb, it's going up and down, it's dirty, my fish are moving, then you're going to suck.
Yeah.
And
I've had some, go ahead, finish what you were going to say.
Oh, no. I mean, go for it.
So what I was going to say, I've had some pretty rough practices and like kind of been spinning out, but then things have kind of like, where I had to like scrap everything going into tournament day and just go fishing, and I ended up doing some of my best finishes. Actually, one of my better finishes was actually one of the tournaments that you won at New Maloney's. Like I think I caught the 2 days of practice. I think we had 3 days, but I was only able to practice 2 days. I think I only caught 2 fish, 1 fish per day, and was not doing good at all. And ended up finishing, you know, got a top 10.
Yeah.
You know, so super stoked about that. But just keeping that level head and just, you know, focusing on every cast and just, you know, paying attention to, you know, little minor details.
Yeah. No, that was actually that same event. For me fishing it, I surprisingly, I mean, I know I won it, but it was like the practice did not go anything like the tournament went for me. So I was catching all my fish in practice on a jig out in like 40 feet of water. And I figured, okay, this bite's going to be solid because deep fish usually don't move that much, you know. There's nothing too crazy like that. And I rolled up to that first spot in the morning. I got like 1 or 2 bites, and they were both under 2 pounds. And I was like, you know, 2.5, 3 hours into the day, like, well, what do we do now? And I just kind of kept a level head. I will say the only thing that saved me in that tournament was I was throwing that crankbait for like 20 minutes and I didn't get a bite on it. And I said, screw it, I'm going to put this thing down. I made 1 more cast, backlashed, and then said, you know what, I'm putting it down after this, and reeled over the backlash. And then I caught a 5-pounder. And then obviously I picked the backlash out. But, you know, I think just keeping that level head, and then I don't know. I mean, when I'm out on the water, I was up at Shasta just a little bit ago for the Pro-Am, and I had a great day 1. I was sitting tied for 12th place, and day 2 was not going great. And like 3/4 of the way through the day, I kind of just like took a second to kind of just soak in what was happening. And I was just like, dude, I'm out on Lake Shasta, 70-degree weather. I'm on a boat fishing. And, you know.
And not at work.
Not at work. Not, you know, I have no cares in the world. They're all left at the launch ramp. I'm like, you know, what is there to complain about? I might not be catching them. You know, I missed the top 10. I knew I was going to miss it, but I just kind of relaxed and was like, you know what? Like, you really can't do much better than, you know, what I'm doing right now.
You got a check, right?
I did get a check,
No,
so
helps,
I might not be telling this story the same if I didn't get a check when I came off the water. But
Shasta's one of those places where I have a hard time. They're in Orville, you know, unless there's certain you know, situations where that water's rising in the springtime and I can power fish and I can, you know, I can catch them power fishing. But if it's a finesse deal, like I have a hard time getting a better than average bite on those places, you know. So
see, that's more where I kind of I wouldn't say I thrive, but that's what I like. I really like those tournaments where it's like you're catching, you know, 180s and you got to be catching 2-pounders or something like that. God, and I know it's so dumb. Right? I know, but it's I don't know. It's such a fun thing to me when you get that one and you notice it's just a tiny bit bigger. You feel like a tiny bit better head shake, and you're like, oh, this is the one. I know that's so stupid though that it's like a 0.2 difference on a fish makes all the difference. That's why I'd rather
go throw a swim bait most of the day and, you know, try to get that better than average bite that way, you know, because I know usually every bite on that bait is usually gonna be a little bit better than average, you know. But even though you're still catching 180s on it, 2-pounders, but you could catch a 4 or 5,
exactly,
or bigger, you know, on a bigger bait. So but you know, super fun. So you're just keeping it light, you know, light-minded, just going out there and having fun and catching fish, man. I mean, I know I kind of told you I'm taking a kind of step back from fishing, you know, just kind of go out and have fun, man. I'm going to go chase stripers. You know, I'm already doing the steelhead fishing. I love the steelhead, you know, salmon fishing. I'm going to be bass fishing a lot too, you know. So going to be probably fishing the Delta quite a bit and Clear Lake. You know, Clear Lake's fishing really good right now. You guys saw some weights. It's fishing good. Finally, all our reservoirs are starting to get water, and when there's water, you know, the fish are going to bite. So
that was actually what I was just about to ask you was, where are you looking forward to this year? Because now that we've got water in every lake, I know there's a lot of spots that I haven't seen in water for 3 or 4 years on some of these lakes that I've been dying to fish. Such as pretty much any Thule on Clear Lake. I know there was a couple. But, you know, now, I mean, everything opens up.
Yeah, you inside Rodman. I heard there's a big old log jam in the front of Rodman, so it's kind of hard to get through.
Just
but fishing
hammer
toolies,
down.
Yeah, right. Let her eat, right?
Wide open, you're good. Send her.
Very excited about last couple of years have been so low, and especially say for instance Rodman, you have all those willows and everything, all the shrubs that have been growing.
Oh yeah.
With all without the water. And now all that's submerged, so you got great spawning habitat. Even when those the fry hatch, then they have a good. I guess they're protected with all that trees and whatnot, so they survive exactly. So it's going to be very good in the next few years. Those fish, obviously, we know Clear Lake that those fish it's kind of like Bowler's Bar. Those fish just get big fast.
Yeah.
So
I remember.
A 2-pounder will be a 4-pounder the following year, So these fish grow fast up there, and I think as long as Clear Lake stays consistent with the water level the next couple of years, it's going to be back to normal here real soon. Obviously, we've seen the weights this weekend, where 35 or 34 was leading it. I don't know exactly after day one, but I mean that's a good bag.
I think it was over 35 day one, and then to win was 58 something, I believe,
for January.
Yeah, and that's January on Clear Lake.
It's not the end of February or the beginning of March.
These fish are gonna balloon up even more. I saw the pictures of those fish that Paul Bailey posted.
Yeah.
Of that 35-pound bag on day one, and they look like those OG Clear Lake fish, where they're just absolute balloons.
Yep.
And I think this spring will be a spring on Clear Lake like we haven't seen it at all in the last couple of years. And not just water level, I think just the fishing in general. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to play the same for pretty much every lake in California, I want to say. Or, all the ones that have been filling up. I talk about Folsom because I live there. I know in 2017, after we got that big storm, it was one of the first times that largemouth kind of started to show up on a regular basis for me. And maybe that was just me finally getting better at fishing, but it was almost a noticeable difference. So I think Folsom's going to do great. I know we're just up at Shasta. It's cool that a lot of those spots are getting back in the water. I'm going to be going to Oroville soon. That place is coming up fast.
Yeah. What they should do? Every year, all these tournaments, they seem to go to Oroville or Shasta in January. But can we hold off on a couple of those tournaments and have one up there in April?
I was talking about somebody about that when we were there this week or last week. I fished a Bass Nation regional championship there on Shasta in April.
I bet it was awesome, wasn't it?
Dude, the fishing was so good. Mm-hmm. I was out of the back of the boat fishing as a co-angler, and I was weighing. So the Bass Nations they're a 3-fish limit. I was weighing 7.5 to 8.5 pounds a day out of the back of the boat.
Yeah, for 3 fish. That's great.
For 3 fish, over a 2.5 pound average. And you catch a 2.5 pound average right now and you're winning every tournament up there. So, and that was out of the back of the boat, and I was in the Bass Nations. They're kind of weird how they pair you. They pair you with people from outside your state for the regionals. So that's guys that have never even seen that lake. So they're on who knows what spot. And, I was still able to catch 2.5 to 3 pounders behind them. So,
and a lot more largemouth show up that time of year. They disappear in the wintertime. They're just ghosts. They just go suspend over 200 foot of water like a spotted bass. Who knows where they go, right? Largemouth are so hard to find on that place. You catch a largemouth there, and it's gold.
It's the unicorn,
It's a straight up unicorn. So, but April, they show up.
Dude,
So
you can catch some giants there. And those big spots show up, too.
So any tournament director out there, you want to maybe put a tournament there in April? That'd be cool. That'd be super sweet.
I know Wild West used to do those the Pro-Am Opens, where it wasn't a normally sanctioned Pro-Am event. So if you guys still have time to book one of those, put one on Shasta or anywhere or Oroville. That would be another fun one. Also, it'd be nice because then I don't have to freeze when it's half snowing outside. Right. I will say we had such nice weather this time. It was 70 degrees, no wind. I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, I was still
guys froze on Sunday though.
Yeah, well, I didn't go. But it looked fun. Regardless, it did look fun.
Yeah, it was good. So,
but I think we're gonna wrap it up. Hopefully, you guys liked the little podcast of us just talking fishing. So Luke, you have anything to add?
I don't think so too much. I know, I'm just looking forward to this year. We're going to have water finally. And, the other great thing is supply chain's doing better. So you can get all the gear you need, which has been kind of rare. So I'm stoked for that. Of course, we are at Fisherman's Warehouse, so we got to say, if you guys want anything, come down and get it. We got it all. And like I said, everything's getting better. So if, you weren't able to find that special bait last spring, you might be able to find it. I'm going to throw in a random teaser. They should be showing up soon for any of the tuna guys out there. If you're somehow watching this and you made it this far, the Nomad Mad Max are on their way. We should have them sometime this month, maybe next month. Don't quote me on that. That's what I've been told by Nomad. So
Nice.
I know that was like the hot bait of the year last year. So.
Yeah, so when we got them in the store, we had a line out the door, waiting
Yeah.
for us to open to come in.
Yeah.
And they sold in the first 20 minutes. But.
So, anyways, hopefully come on down to the stores, look for those, and anything else you guys need. But anyways, again, we're from Fisherman's Warehouse, and we'll catch you at one of the stores soon.